Hi all, hope you're doing well. I just wanted to go over a few items from last week and this coming week. In our class last week, we were focused really on a few different areas of ethical decision making, ethics overall. So we looked at stem cell fraud, and we also looked at organ donation and kind of two different sides to organ donation. So good work on the assignments thus far. One thing that I will mention, when we have an assignment, when you see this next to an assignment in the classroom, you'll only see it next to written assignments. This is a Turnitin assignment. Unfortunately, Turnitin only gives us so many words that we can put here in this section. So I had to break out. There's no way to submit the assignment here. I needed to break it out and put it down here. And so when you want to do your assignment, when you want to submit it, you're going to come here. I don't even know if it'll let me because I'm not enrolled. Yeah. See, it'll look a little different to you, I'm sure. But so you would make sure it was you, obviously. You're going to go through the process. You're going to upload your assignment, I'm assuming, again, that it looks similar for you. Then it's going to kind of spin and hold for a second, because once you hit upload, it's going to upload and it's going to sit there and kind of spin and evaluate what's there. Then you're going to get another screen that says, the screen in that holding pattern section will say, please remain here until it processes or whatever, because then you need to again submit it, and at the bottom it'll say confirm. You need to do that confirmation or the assignment will not go through. If you only do the first part and upload it, it will not get the assignment all the way through to me. So please, I know a couple have reported that they're having issues. I believe one person, we verified that that's what the issue was. But if you have an issue submitting, like if it's not going through, I would advise giving the help desk a call. They should be able to walk you through it. But if you need to follow both of those steps or I won't get the assignment. So that's that for week 4. In week 5, we're actually going to continue our discussion of ethics, ethical issues, ethical decision making overall. We're going to look at the Terri Schiavo case, and Terri Schiavo case is very much a standard for case studies in ethics. A woman who suffered, catastrophic brain injury due to something. That's still kind of unsure, but I think the prevailing story is that she was bulimic and somehow ended up hypoxic, and that's what caused the injury. But anyway, she lived on artificial nutrition and whatnot for a very long time until a point was reached where they were going to remove that. The husband wanted to remove it. The parents did not. It was quite a battle. So it's a good look at our legal system versus ethical decision making. And the one thing that it does create is some awareness around the fact that we should all really have advance directives that tell our family in writing what it is that we want for us if we have some catastrophic injury and are unable to make decisions on our own. Also, we have a writing assignment this week about, it's kind of like a little case study about adults being able to or being permitted to refuse life-sustaining treatment, such as a blood transfusion. There are certain religions that don't believe in blood transfusions. Should they be able to say that they don't want that, to refuse that treatment? But then what if the adult is pregnant, adult woman pregnant, and it would kill the baby if they don't have the transfusion? What should we think about in those cases? Now, again, remember, I'm not looking for you to go out and research the law. This is our ethical discussion. So talk about this from an ethical standpoint. You can certainly use some resources, but this is more of a reflection on what your thoughts are, well supported by what we've learned about and what you're reading in these articles. So that's our work for this week. I do want to go over a couple of questions from the quiz. There's one of them I'm going to give back to you. I have not yet, but I will give back to you because there were really kind of a couple of answers that were correct. So I'm going to give you that question back if you answered one or the other of these answers. So the question is, negligent sterilization can occur when And the two answers that are correct are a blood vessel is mistakenly severed. That could occur. Or if the physician fails to intervene in a timely manner when the patient is injured as a result of the sterilization. Now, see, that's a little misleading and confusing because it would depend on what the situation was. We don't really have enough information to make a solid decision on this. If the physician failed to intervene and there was some issue, perhaps it caused the sterilization to fail, I'm not sure exactly what they were doing, then that could be negligence. But it wouldn't necessarily be negligent sterilization. It would just be medical malpractice, negligence in activity as a secondary result of a sterilization procedure. So there's a lot of question about this particular. We don't really have enough information to answer these questions, so I will give you that one back. Now, the one that I'm not going to give back because it's pretty clear. One of the answers is the patient does not suffer an injury, and negligence doesn't exist unless the patient suffers an injury. So there could not be negligent sterilization if the patient did not suffer an injury. So that's an important part of any negligence. I will not give that one back, but I will give the others back on that question. Next question. A sterilization for eugenic purposes, and there's 4 different answers, should be performed strictly in outpatient, it should be performed on all prisoners, should never be performed unless provided for by hospital policy. Those are all incorrect. The one that is correct is should be performed as provided for in a state's statutes. So eugenic sterilization is a situation where the state may act to require a person to be sterilized if they, one, don't have the ability to care for a child and don't have any assistance to do so, or if they have some type of hereditary disorder that could be passed on to the child and would be damaging to that child right off the bat. So there's a few different situations where eugenic sterilization is considered. Most states do not allow it. It's just not, it's not something that a lot of states allow, but it would have to be something that would be provided for in a state statute, because what they're really doing is taking away the person's right to choose. Generally, what the issue is that the person doesn't have capacity to make a choice, yet they certainly have capacity to go out and take part in activities that may result in them becoming pregnant or impregnating someone. So it's important that in some situations this is managed, but it's managed per whatever the state law says for that area. Last one. Blank is the obligation to be fair in the distribution of benefits and risks. So the correct answer here was justice. And what you want to think about, anytime you're confused about what justice is, think of the scales like we consider when we talk about the legal system. Those are the scales of justice. I'm pretty sure the lady in the middle, that's her name, that holds them. So you want to benefit. You got 2 scales, one side is risk, one side is benefit, and you're trying to equalize them. So the obligation to be fair in the distribution of benefits and risks is justice. For example, you would never want to put a patient in a situation where the risk that they're assuming by taking part in a procedure is greater than the benefit could ever be. It would be unjust to do that. So you want to weigh risk and benefit. It doesn't mean that we never undergo some type of risk. I have an upcoming procedure I had to sign the informed consent for the other day, and it was 6 pages long. And it's a fairly minor procedure, so there's always risk. We always assume risk when we have procedures, when we take drugs that are prescribed, etc. But that benefit needs to outweigh that risk, or at least be equal. in those cases. Sometimes the benefit is for the public good. So, for example, someone may partake in a stage 2 trial, stage 1 trial even, a clinical trial of a new drug. And those trials are really, they give them to healthy people to see what the side effects are, all those types of things. They've already been tested prior to that on animals typically, or in computer models. But in stage 1 trial, you are, you're examining, how does it impact the patient, different things that may cause problems for the patient, like maybe you can't drink milk with taking that, or maybe you should never have alcohol in conjunction with it, etc. So they're trying to figure those things out. Now, there is really no benefit to the patient other than typically they get paid, but there is a great deal of risk. But there's also a great benefit for the public good because we're furthering that research, etc. So that is that one. And that's all I have. If you have any questions on any of the material, this is kind of heavy stuff. Hopefully it's not upsetting to folks. Sometimes it can be emotional reading these stories, and sometimes maybe we've had similar stories in our family, in our families, with friends, etc. So it's the point is certainly not to upset anybody, but what it is really for us to kind of dig down and look at these ethical struggles that occur in organizations. It happens every day. I served on an ethics committee at a large healthcare organization. We were an academic medical center, so we had people involved in clinical trials. We had people that were wards of the state. All of those things that we had to struggle with all the time. So it's certainly out there. It's the types of things that are dealt with in the healthcare setting every day. There's a real need for us to examine, kind of dig in and examine these ethical issues. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, I will talk to everyone this week. Thanks.